guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Ultimate Knife Search. Today we are looking at this bad boy here, work tough gear, Amish John, and designed by John Spencer. And I will start out to grab another knife, guys. This is the BK9. This is my modified version of it. But why do I pick this knife up here? Not first of all, foremost, I will say, not to compare these two knives here. The Amish John is so much more doable knife for me. So, but it's a little bit about what can you say, the history and how to own a work tough gear knife. Or I'll say this Amish John here. I have not had it so long, and I'll say thank you to Work Tough Gear, Wiglin, to give me the opportunity to test out this knife here, and as an awesome dude to talk with. They mean some serious business over there, and they make some awesome knives. So thank you, Wiglin, for this opportunity. Back to the BK9 here. Yes, first and second, I will say sorry for the intro. It was a little bit long, but I really think that this knife here deserves a beautiful intro, because it is a beautiful knife and it looks so badass. So I think it deserves a little bit more. Okay, back to the knife again here. The BK9. For some years ago, 10 or 15 years, way back, every knife dude in the whole planet know the BK9, even own one or know someone who own a BK9. And every time you refer to another knife, if you want to talk about size, durability, how the knife works, you just mention the BK9, and everyone's in the whole planet know the BK9. If you don't know the BK9, you have not been in the knife world for so long, I promise you guys. The BK9 was a knife back in the days, the good old school. There was a war between the BK9 and the S. Jungles. But the BK9 was, for me, one of the first knife you could buy who still was a knife in this size. If you want a bigger knife, it was a machete or a big chopping knife. So this one here was a knife you can, what can you say, not a one-tool option, but you want one do all with knife and still feel knifey. It was still a knife in the hand. I know I have modified this a lot with a choil and give it another handle. This is a whole different story. You can check my videos out, and you can see what I've done to this BK9 here. But back in the time, the BK9 was, what can you say, the knife you want if you want to go out in the forest, and you could buy tons of knife, but you always get back to your BK9 because it was so nimble, light and wheelie, and still feel knifey, and you can do some fine work with it. And that's the case here, guys. I have not had the time to use this so much, but I have been using it a lot, and I had also slept with it tonight out here in the nature, in the forest, and make a campfire last night and something. So I have the opportunity to use this knife a little bit. But I will say again, not to compare these two knives here one by one, because they are similar. But I will think this Amish John here, if you like the BK9 and like how it performed in the old days, and think that was a good times when I go out with the BK9, you should buy this Amish John here. It is a little bit, what can you say, the same DNA like the BK9, because it's still a knife. And let's take a look at it. Look at this awesome knife here, guys. Look at it. How beautiful this knife is made. The Amish John there, and you can see the recurved blade, and it's thick, guys. It's over a 1/4 inch thick. I think this is up here is a 7 millimeters and go down to 6.5 millimeters here. And look at this. Maybe you can get some focus there. Thick spine. and tip. This is the way to make a strong tip, guys. And this is awesome. And I'll say, even if this knife here is so thick, over a 1/4 inch thick, and it have a 9.5 inch blade, it only weighs 739 grams on my scales, guys. So that was the thing that caught my eye. Of course, this beautiful thing here caught my eye. But again, it was the weight of it, because it's a little bit same like the BK9. It's heavier than the BK9, but you can see if you take a blade, and now I have made a choil on the BK9, so if you take the cutting edge to cutting edge, you can see it's a little bit bigger, the Amish John here, but it's also feel much bigger, but it's not so much heavier. I will say it's maybe, can't remember, maybe 175 grams heavier this knife is, but it feels just the same. So I will say the Amish John here is a really durable knife, and you can see it have some angle down, not like a kukri, but it angle a little bit down. So when I say before that it was a more knifey knife, not so much a chopper, that's not just mean you can chop with this. You can chop the hell out of this knife here. I will show you later in the review, guys. It is a chopping monster also, but you got, for me, this knife here, when I get it, I gave it to my girlfriend right away, and she could try to pick it up. She said, "Oh, it's the first handle I could I could hold good to, because she has not so big hands. So, and I have monster hands, guys. So no matter if you are a big guy like me with big hands, or you are a girl or a little man with small hands, you can definitely grab this handle here, no matter what size you are, and that's something that is awesome. And I will say immediately I'll get this knife in my hand, I start wielding it. I could not control myself. It's a little bit like the Woodcraft Tianto. When I get this in my hand, I could not stop wielding this knife, because it's so easy and nimble to use. And that's something that is awesome. And then we are a little bit back to the BK9 again, guys, because we all like big knives, but I have many big knives. But whether I go with a big knife, it is heavy. It is not so easy to use. I'll say, when you use a big knife, it if you, choose the knife a little bit from looks, it always be a heavy knife. It always be too long. It will always be more machete type knife, and you have a secondary knife with you all the times. I am just talking out from, I am going hiking all around, all year round. So of course, if you are a collector, you have a not use your knife, you have a different view on the knife. But for me, this here is such a beautiful knife, and I'll say, it's not only beautiful, it's nimble and light and fast, how a knife should be. And that's something what I I was love with this BK9 here, and that's why I mostly use my BK9 and Tahoma field knife from Tops, because they were a little bit similar. And that was back in the days. It was always one of these two knives I choose, because it was easy to carry, nimble use. You could chop with it, and there's lots of power, and you still have a knife in your hands. You don't have a big machete or a very big heavy knife. You have not a small knife, but a mid-sized knife who performs like a big knife, just exactly like this would. So in my text on the video I review, is this the new BK9? And somehow yes, it is. Not to compare them, but the way you own this, it's only the way you own the knife is like the new BK9, because if you own one of these guys, I promise you, this is a knife you will take with you every time you go out for a hiking. There's no doubt about it, and it looks awesome also. And Let's take a little bit closer look on it again. There's something more I like. You know, if you have watched my video, I'm not a big fan of a choil, but a choil on this knife here, you can see it's curved a little bit down here, and if you use a choil here and hold your thumb here, it fits perfect in your hand. And there's something more. My thumb is here, and the recurve, many knives who have a recurve have the highest point here, middle of the knife. But this knife here had the recurve, the highest point where you got your thumb. So when you do fine work, it is more easy in if the recurve have been here. So that's something that is really, really thought out when making this knife here. And look at this big, fat, old school blood groove or filler there, guys. It is really, really awesome. And no matter how you hold the knife, if you hold it like this, or like this, or you're chopping with it, or do fine work, it has so many good positions. And I'll say, I have seen John Spencer's review on this knife here on Blade Show, and he's talked a little bit about he was trying to catch something. He says sadly, because that is really true. When people pick a knife up, they do like this, and they say, "Oh, it's not comfortable" or something. But you will never hold a knife like this. I don't. I even use it like this, or I chop with it, or I'm cutting with it. So, but even if you hold it up like this at the first time, it feels so good, because you have this awesome swell there, and you see all the way down. I'll try to, if you can see it there, how this handle here is contoured, and that's awesome. And the recurve on it, it is really, really beautiful. Okay, guys, that was a little bit my thought about this knife here. And yes, it could easily be the new BK9. Not to compare these two knives, but to own the knife is like the good old times with the BK9. And that's something in my mind I will I will almost give anything to get back to that time, because anything was easier back then. You don't have a tons of knife to choose on. It was a good handful, good knife back then, so that was easier. But we are getting here, guys, with this knife here. I really, really think that is awesome. So enough yappily yap, and let's see what this knife can do. Before, I'll just use 30 more seconds to talk about the sheet. The sheet is pretty okay. It's like the same thing as the Work Tough Gear Wilson. When a knife is so big, I like to carry it this way. It goes good slim with the body, and it sits perfect, and it's easy to use, and it's good quality kydex. And they have them hooks here, and also in the belt loop there are a hook there, so you can carry it as a sling, and you can put it on your belt. You can do whatever you want. If there are something for me, I would like to this kydex here, the handle was maybe, I don't know if you can see it, it was a stop here, because I think when you grab the knife, you have to grab it in the end. So when you grab it, you have to reposition your hand. I don't know if you can know what I mean, but there you can grab the knife, but you have to reposition your knife. If this has been away here, you could have, and there's an I can say nice thumb ramp there, so there's nothing wrong with the seat. The seat is perfect, but I would like to have been down here, because I could have the full grip of my handle when I have drawn the knife. But that's just me, guys. That's because I'm a little bit what can you say, nerdy with this kind of thing, so I could probably easily take this off, but I don't want it. It's a pretty awesome sheet, and it's easy to carry. Like all the Work Tough gear come with this sling here, so that's awesome, guys. Let's go on and see what this knife can do. really have some chopping power. So there's no shock, anything in the handle. This good old bad boogie style knife here. Let's take this big lock here. This you can see, I think 3 inch through it. I hope you can see it, guys. Look at it. Look how much the wood that's flying in everywhere. And this is really hard wood here. But see there, straight cut. That's awesome. You want to baton with a knife like this. It is good. Many knives is, what can you say, tapered down here, but it has a big fat spine all the way down, and this clip here is perfect to hammer on when you have to baton. So let's see if this knife here can baton. Some good awesome pieces here. And a big old good knot there. This, no doubt about it, it goes right through it. Let's take one more here. Yes, it's a good splitting tool, and you can see I'm not hurting the baton stick so much because it's a full flat there, so there's nothing that can hurt it. Let's take this here and take some tip test, guys. You can see I am hammered pretty much. It go 1/2 inch in this hardwood here, and the tip, I have no worries about this tip here. You can see this still straight as an arrow, so nothing wrong there, guys. And if I go back to choil up here, see if you can. This wood here is wet, but oh yes, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about feather stick, guys. Look at it. That's really awesome. Has some good bite to it, and it's easy. Let's see if you can baton through it that way. Yeah. I have no worries to hammer this knife here. Look at it. It goes right through it. That's an awesome blade. And I'll say, the more I get to use it, the more what can you say, I can allow myself to be hard with it, because I know it can hold up. This is a chunker of badass steel there, SK85. And again, the first run there, guys, that's awesome. Let's try to see if you can chop something like this. No problem. I have so good control over this knife. I really love it. And if you want to make a spear or something, a trap, you can make small chops. I'll say it bites pretty much a little bit too much because it can be easy to pull out in the wood, but look at it, it's really awesome, and it is easy to do some task with it like this fine chops here, and you can of course make it the last thing this way here. Oh yes, yeah, really good bites. You can make something that I pointed with this knife here easily. It's so wielable. It's so easy to wield, and I love it. This almost I always also like a chopping, powering tool, but this here, because it's so easy, it's really a knife, not anything else, just a knife, guys. And take it there, and there's no worries with that big fat spine here to hammer something in. Look at it, that's awesome. Yes. Let's see here, guys, how the heat treatment of this Amish John here hold up. I have very good fade on it, and let's try to hammer this in this lock here and see if we are making some damage to the scales or anything. And no, this is not the proper way to use a knife, but if you are in a situation where you need to hammer a knife in something and stand on it to reach food or what else you have to reach on it, it's good to can do this. So let's see if this, I'll try to stand on it quickly, but I have no worries about this knife here. I think it's hold up pretty good. And you can see you have some flakiness to it also. So let's try one more time. Yes. And now the big work to get the knife out again. Yes. Beautiful. And let's clean it up. And let's show you guys. I hope you can see it here. Show you this knife. I have just stand on it, and I am 120 kilos now plus, and this knife is still straight as an arrow. And I must say, guys, it has a good flakiness to it. I think it was a little more hard, but it has good flakiness, and I love that. So a good flakiness means a strong knife you can use for anything, and you can see there when I hammer on this back end here. Let's try to get some focus. Come on. Yep, you can see there's nothing that's getting loose or bent or ruined. It's just a cleanup, guys, and you have a new knife again. So that's awesome for this G10 handle here. It's a strong knife. Yes, you know I can't control myself. I have to throw this as a spear because look at this. It's something I know maybe Predator could have this blade here. It's so much hunting style to look at, but it is not the best knife to paracord because the pommel swell here and the hand swell is rounded. So when you try to, even if this section has flat on the wood, it is not so easy to get into the wood. So if you are in a situation where you need to hunt and you have some tool with you, I will take my scales off and paracord it to this, and there will be no worries. But you can also do like this if you are in a situation where you need to hunt. So let's try it, guys. And you know, there's not a test out there that can bend or wound more knife than this, because the weight of the knife now, the weight on the tip, because you have this long back end here. So let's try to throw it and see if it has a good throwing balance as a spear. I'll go back maybe let me say 5 or 6 meters and try to throw it and see how it holds up. Yes, it's been a hole. It's been a whole turn. Let's try one more. See how it does. Go back. Maybe go back 1 meter. And we can see. Yes. See the flakiness. I hope you see the flakiness of this blade, guys. And you can see it go deep. You can hunt with this knife here, unless, oh yes, and let's see if there are any bend or anything. Nothing, still straight as an arrow. So that's, of course, as I mentioned at the handle there, if you take a caution about this, you have a really good hunting blade here, guys. No worries. Now we had throw it as a spear, and let's see, guys, if you control the knife and if it had a good balance. And I know this is not meant for it's not meant for throwing, but I think it's awesome. You could do anything with this blade here, and let's try it and see if I can find my distance. Yes. See, guys, I hope you see the flakiness on this blade here. If I hit it again, try to see how this knife wangles or wiggles or what else you will call it. See, guys, it has some pretty awesome flakiness to it. Let's try one more. It has some very good bites. See if you can. Yes, it was not a good throw. Let's try one more time. See if you can make 4 in a row. Yes, that was. Look how the flakiness is to this knife. Even if you have, here you have a 7 millimeters and 6.5 millimeters spine, and look how this knife flakiness is awesome. Really love it. And look at the bite. You can definitely throw this knife and hurt something with it. It is awesome. And it's not just awesome, it's beautiful awesome. Tough knife. When Work Tough gear promise you a 90-degree spine, the mean 90-degree spine, it is perfect to take a fire steel. So yes, as I've mentioned in all my Work Tough gear videos, this way they make this sheet here. And for me as a hiker, I know there are different ways to use a knife out there, but for me as a hiker and a knife in this size, I like to carry it on my chest. And I use the sling, and today I got my small backpack, and you can see I put it in the belt loop there. So I have 1, 2, 3 carrying points to carry this knife here, and it feels like nothing. And it's easy to get access to, and it's an awesome thing that I've taught this out. And that's the only thing that follow. You should not buy extra things to carry it like this. If you use the gear that are in the box, you can carry your knife like this, and that's awesome. Yes, it was a little bit testing of this Work Tough gear, Amish John here, and this is an awesome knife. I only have pretty things to say on this knife here. Fit and finish, perfect. How it perform, perfect. It's one of the larger size knife who still are a knife, not a big heavy chopper. This is a knife, and that's something that appeals to me, guys. And that's also one when I first saw this and heard his review on it, I think I had to get this knife here, and my expectation to this knife here is 100% as I thought it would be. There are one thing that has, what can you say? I was a little bit, what can you say the word? Not excited, but I has not thought the knife would react like this. It has a pretty good fleckness on it, and I love it, and that's also why back in the days I love the 3/16 thickness of a knife, because they have a good fleckness. But here Worktoff Gear had made a 6.5 millimeters thick spine and still have some fleckness on it. That's awesome. I will say you cannot, if you use this knife properly, and you can see it today, guys, I have been a little bit hard with it. If you really use this knife with course, you can have this knife for 100 years to pass to your children or something. This is an awesome knife. And the handle, I love it. And the way this knife is light, feel light, wheeled around, chopping power, and again, it's still a knife. I can't point this enough. Yes, I am excited. I must say, guys, I am excited over this knife here. And let's take the last closer look on it. After this, what can I say? Not abuse, but use here. And you can see, don't know if you can see it there. It's the first run production. So yes, it is beautiful, and the edge is flawless. I'll try to see if I can get a focus there. Yes, you can see the edge is still flawless. There's nothing wrong with it. And this choil here, as I mentioned in the start of the video, I'm not a fan of the choil normally, but this choil here feels so natural. So, and that's an awesome knife. I really love it. And if you're out there as me, that's why I call my channel Ultimate Knife Search. That's because as a start, I think I have many knives who are ultimate knife, because I give it the ultimate for a blade and ultimate for the handle. So you can say I have many knives who has an ultimate knife, and they maybe have a good blade but not so good handle, and the other way around, they have a good handle but it has a bad blade. So that was the purpose in the start of when I'm making this what can you say, review channel here, is what to how to get closer to ultimate knife. And I will say, guys, this is one of the few knives I will give an ultimate for the blade and an ultimate for the handle. So you can say this is to my top 3 knife. This knife here, this is an ultimate knife. And if I shut down this channel tomorrow, I can say I have found the ultimate knife. But of course there will be more reviews. I love to be out here in the forest, and this Amish John here is one of the knife will go with me many times. I really love it, and I have also good knives, but I don't like the look of them. But here they are all in one package for me. This good, what can I say, good old school Bowie knife with some a little bit more modern touch with it. So I really think that is awesome. And yes, and this SK85 steel here and the heat treatment from Worktoff Gear, you have seen I have stand on it, the flexor on it, throw it as a spear, throw it as a knife. It is yes, it's 100% badass. And if you're looking for one to do all knife, this is the way to go. If you are, of course, if you like the size of it, it is a little bit too the big size, you can say, but not to wield. When you wield the knife, you don't feel you have a big knife. It is awesome. So yes, I only have one thing more to say, and that's thanks to Wiglin, Owen Worktoff Gear, to to give the opportunity to test out this knife here. And I will only say, don't go hiking. Go hiking!